This is Elam B. King. I am your relationship coach, and this is Cocktails with Carly.
Original, no carbon copy, fell from heaven, moving godly. Let's talk about it over cocktails with Carly. Kicking flavor, sitting pretty, talking confident, not cocky. Let's talk about it over cocktails with Carly. Am I sorry that I'm tardy to the party? No, not hardly. Made a quick pit start, had a cocktail with Carly. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it over cocktails with Carly. Let's talk about it. How you cocktails with Carly. That's how you feel. Let's talk about it. How you cocktails with Carly. Tell them why you mad. Let's talk about it. Tell them how you feel. Let's talk about it. Tell them why you stressed. Tell them why you mad. Tell them why you happy. Tell them why you blessed. Tell them why you blessed. Tell them why you blessed. Tell them how you feel. Get it off your chest. Get it off your mind.
All right. Welcome to the show.
What up?
How are you?
I'm very good.
You got a cocktails with Carly.
I just appreciate you inviting me.
I appreciate you for being here. I can't wait to hear about your black business.
See, here we go.
You guys, we've been pre-gaming. We've been having a good time. We got a nice, intimate crew here tonight.
Right.
But more importantly, we have you here tonight so that we can talk about your business.
Right.
I cannot wait to get into these cards, you guys,
Right.
because he's got a card game.
And you know what? I see how it's blending with the set already. I'm
Is
just
it?
looking at that. I like that.
It seems like it's a part
color.
of it. It's just a part.
That's God.
Okay. All right. So let everybody know who you are, what you do, and just so on and so forth. I'm here to support. I'm here to be in this and get into these cards that you have. Your game. Is it a game?
Yeah, it's a game.
Oh,
It's a
Lord.
game.
I don't think
It's
it's
really
a
not a
game.
game, but nah, it's a game. But first of all, thank you so much for even having me. Elam B. King. I am a relationship coach, 3-time author, and game master now as well. And so my mantra is, in order for us to improve our communities, we need to improve our families. Because, you know, when things happen out here in these streets, people are always like, oh, we need to do this and do that, stick together. And 2 weeks
Yeah.
later, after a march or two, they done, right?
And back on that.
But in order for us to improve our communities, we have to improve our families. Where our community is made up of families.
Yes.
So in order to improve our families, we have to take a look at the two people who are responsible for building that, which is the man and the woman. So that's
Yes.
what I'm here for.
I love that. That was deep, y'all. I was ready to get all the way into that immediately. I almost cut you off a couple times. So
Was that
I
a sip?
definitely-
Was that sip worthy?
it was worthy.
Okay.
It was worthy. Now I will.
He said sip worthy.
Sorry, 'cause I did mine. You guys just didn't see it. It went so fast. So you're absolutely right. And so you are also a relationship coach.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I'm not nobody's ma'am. I'm a fine ass auntie though, okay?
You are.
No, so tell me about the relationship aspect. So you're a relationship coach. Let's talk
Yes.
about that first.
Right.
So what made you get into being a relationship coach?
If I give you the short story,
Okay.
you know, I was married for 19 years.
Oh, that's a long
And during the time while I was married, you know, there were some different things that happened throughout our marriage. And so I had a good friend of mine, Miss Adrienne E. Bell. One day she gave me a call. We've been friends for like 20 years, right? And so one day she said, you know what, Elam, you need to write a book. Now, I am in sales, marketing, undergrad. The last thing on there, I don't even like English. So what I look like writing a book, right? And also, it's kind of like me. Why would it be me?
Right.
You know, I've had different things going on within my marriage, within my life. You know, my formal undergraduate life in college, all types of
Yeah.
stuff. So I'm like, I'm the last person that people will listen to. She said, no, Elam, you are the exact person people will listen to. And so it was a faith walk that I took, prayed about it, closed my eyes, and 15 chapters later, you know, I had my first book, Understanding a Man, Empowering
I love
Women
that.
with Tools for Lasting Relationships.
Okay.
Also, I got married at 25 years old, and so people would, you know, so by the time I'm hitting 30s and stuff like that, my friend's still not married.
Right.
So, and then some people started getting married, so they're like, well, Elam, if you're married,
Right.
how did you do it? So they would start
Right.
calling me and giving advice. So just over time, I was just like, you know what?
I'm
Everybody
kind
has-
of good at this. I'm a little good at this.
you know, and it just evolved from there. A lot of personal development, reading, because it became interesting to me.
Right.
And I actually got a love and a passion for helping people.
Oh, I love that.
And you're looking at the person who, if you went back 20 years, that wasn't me. That wasn't that guy. I'm like, it's all about me getting this money as legally as possible.
Okay.
And then one day I started caring about people. I don't know
God
I don't know where it came
God
from.
said, boop.
And it just kind of evolved, and
Yeah.
even to the game as well, evolving a year or two ago.
Yes. Okay, so I love that. So did you actually hit like a trial in your life where you just kind of pivoted and you altered and you said, you know what, I actually care. Like, where did you get all this gospel from? I mean, some of the stuff is common sense, but
Common
it's
sense
not
is
so
not common. Okay, but I somewhere around 35 years old,
Okay.
I was living a lifestyle that other people looked at and would be like, oh, you got the house, you got the kids, you got the cars, so you should be happy.
Right.
And I wasn't. And I, went on a personal development journey. I actually got involved into this network marketing company, and that kind of like opened me up. You couldn't have told me I wasn't going to sell this certain product. I was going to be a gazillionaire selling this product, but
Please don't tell me it was Flobies.
no. It was a coffee company.
I wanted Flobies. Okay.
If you had cut me, I would have bled brown back then.
Oh my
But
God.
God loved me enough to
Yeah.
put me in the presence of people who were just crazy enough to want more. And I started doing this crazy thing. It's called reading. Okay.
Yeah.
And
that's where all the secrets are.
and so as I did that, I developed a love for it. Again, you're talking to somebody who was just about just getting the money.
Right.
So reading was at the end of the rope, but at the same time, when it came to business and
Yes.
growth, I liked that.
Okay.
So it was like, God was like, all right, I'm gonna show you me one more time.
Okay.
I'm gonna hide me somewhere in this business and come find me.
Right.
And just the more I read, the more my eyes were open.
I love
and
that.
That's where the passion for helping others evolved.
Amen. Yes. So it's not just necessarily helping others, it's actually helping others in specific relationships.
Yes.
So that's probably where it became more so relationship coach in terms of marriage
Right.
and intimate relationships and
Right.
interpersonal relationships.
Right.
So would you say that more of your clientele is more so people that are in emotional relationships opposed to platonic business relationships?
There's so many facets that I can answer that question, but I would share that I'm really more on the intimate relationships.
that, yeah.
Even though there is a correlation that can exist between the
Yes.
two from a communication
Yes.
perspective, but I'm about dealing with intimate relations, matters of the
Okay.
heart.
Yes, matters of the heart. So we got a lot of heart issues nowadays. Okay, so yes, Elam is gonna come back another day and go into full depth about the coaching and relationship coaching, and then all the different relationships and issues that you deal with. However, before we get there, we're gonna get a little preview tonight, y'all. So yes, I have
take a sip before that.
questions. People in the back have questions. Like, we got a lot of stuff we need you to answer because you are an expert, essentially. I would say
expert, I don't like,
you got it on your
I like
look. Your
labels.
socials say it. You hold conferences. People know who you are as a relationship coach. So you better own it, like your shirt.
Yeah.
Tell me about your shirt.
Well, so you'll see that
Show us the shirt. Let everybody want to see.
hold on,
Well,
hold
it looks like a light bulb.
big chestedness
Oh,
on right now.
it's a lot of muscles, and I see that Kappa stuff coming out. But I ain't gonna say nothing. Go ahead.
So, this, if you look inside of it, you can see the male symbol, and you can see the female symbol as well connected to it.
Yes.
And so, my responsibility out here is to bring that communication between men and women.
Oh, yes.
And when you speak with me, a light bulb goes off.
I like that. Now that was deep. Was that not deep?
I hope I said that in the mic.
Everybody in the
I
back is like,
I kind of held the mic over, but I hope you heard that.
Everybody's like, that was deep. So I love that. Okay, so let's dig a little deeper into the relationship aspect of it. So what are some of the most intricate issues that you deal with or that you see in terms of relationships?
The number one thing, or the top three reasons for divorce, number one is infidelity, number two is finances, and number three is communication.
Okay.
And number three and number one bounce back and forth between the number one and number three reason. And if you think about it, even infidelity, nobody wakes up in the morning and says, today I'm going to go cheat. So it's really a lack of communication and, maybe a couple other things. So really communication is really 90% of the people who happen to who I happen to work with. Communication is number one. And I like to say, everybody's grown until it's time to communicate.
Of course.
When it's time to communicate, everybody takes their ball and they go home and they want somebody else to figure out how to bounce it, how to hold it, and
100%.
and how to deal with it. And so if we think about our growth, right? If you're a baby boomer, if you're an X, or if you're a Y, when it comes to certain life skills, those are the things that weren't in school.
Right.
Finances. Did you learn about credit in school?
No.
Okay,
They
yeah.
had
All
me-
the life
they taught
skills
me how to
really
put
weren't in there.
Yeah, they taught me how to put like a tax form together,
Yeah, I
which
know.
was totally confusing.
I've never used y
Even
equals
today.
mx plus b, but apparently I had to take a test for that. But
Right.
when it comes to matters of the heart, that's what we don't know about.
Real
And
social
so
skills, yep.
you have to then couple that with, let's say particularly with men, with my first book, Understanding a Man. The reason
Yes.
why that I have that is that most of us men, we were raised by our baby boomers. Let's just say the Xers. We were raised by, baby boomers, right?
Right.
Well, so you don't cry, you don't act like a girl, you
Yeah.
don't communicate. Nobody really wants to hear you anyway,
Right.
And so we were basically put inside of a culture of not communicating because it's tough. We have to be tough, right?
Yes.
And so if you show emotion, you're soft. Well,
Yes.
the worst thing that you can actually call a 3-year-old boy is you're acting like a girl.
Oof.
So now be a grown man about it,
Right.
right? So then we meet you,
Right.
and you make us love you.
Yes.
We love you, right? And then now we're set inside of a space to whereas we're unable to articulate the way that we feel.
Oh.
And so that's one of the reasons why I reason or run is what you'll find that
Are
men
y'all
do.
getting this?
And so
I'm loving this in the back. You guys, he has got the audience like captivated. Okay, y'all got that. Okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
yeah, and so just really quickly, we'll either get angry,
Yes.
right? Or we will shut down, which is the run,
Okay.
right? And so, and what you want us to do is the reason have the conversation, but we
Right.
weren't built inside of that. So we normally begin to grow inside of that after we're deep into our
Right.
relationship. And now you as a woman, you were built to have communication. Women
Right.
say 20,000 words a day, men say 5,000, right? So this is you can Google, I'm Googleable.
Well, I'm gonna let you know. Eric in the back, he says about 10,000, 150,000.
Right, right. So here you were. So if I don't look like I want to communicate, I love you less. The number one thing that my married men come to me with is that the way that I feel does not matter. Because the culture that has been designed, well,
Yes.
happy wife,
Happy life.
why can you complete that sentence? We didn't
Because
grow up
I-
together.
well,
Where did it come from?
mean,
you see what I'm saying? So
yeah.
next week is Valentine's Day. Who's Valentine's Day about?
It's ours.
You see what I'm saying? So, and I absolutely.
It's all about
hours
about the
as in
lady.
hours. Who was that a girl power moment or was that out? Okay.
It was a feminist moment, so
but
it's
in my
usually the
inbox,
women,
I have men saying, "Well, why don't I matter?" And then when you start and men find a difficulty of communicating,
Right.
hey, I'm hurting. Hey, I need
Right.
to be loved. Hey, I need to be held or whatever, because again, we weren't given this vocabulary.
Yeah, so I understand that, and I agree with that 100%. My issues here, so just to let y'all know, we talked on the phone for like 2.5 hours, okay, straight on. So we can talk all day and night. So yes, but I think it's very important when you're in a relationship with someone, there's a level of vulnerability
Yes.
that you have to have.
Yes.
And so speaking from the instance of a woman, it is very important from a woman's perspective that you have to allow that man to be comfortable, to be vulnerable. And when I say allow, I know it sounds like, oh, you don't allow me to do anything. Let's just break it down because I know how people are.
Yeah, go ahead.
We have to break it down in terms of allow. I have to make you and allow you and help you feel comfortable so that you are able to be vulnerable enough to communicate, babe, I kind of would really like to do something that I'd like to do for Valentine's Day, and not be so narcissistic and feministic and think that it's all about you, right? We talked about men that be sassy, right? Because some women, some women would assume that if you want me to do something for you for Valentine's Day, that's a little sassy, don't you think? So I understand what they're saying, what the women are implying. Being sassy has nothing to do with wanting to have somebody reciprocate love to you or emotion to you.
And so one of the things that I like to share, remember I said that infidelity is number one on the list from a
Yes.
divorce perspective, right? And so, the edict sometimes that's out there is how, men are dogs and men just cheat or whatever case would be, right? Well, if we kind of transition over into that space, everybody that has, and let's first, let me for full disclosure,
Hey, it's just me and
stepping
you.
outside of your marriage or relationship
It's wrong.
is wrong. That's number one. Now that we can take that and put that to the side, we then have to ask the right question of why. And book
Now
that
we
I'm,
can be adults
yeah,
about.
and there's a book that I'm reading, The Road Less Stupid, and it's by Keith Cunningham, and he says having the right answer is smart, but asking the right question is genius.
Oh, I like
and
that.
people don't ask the right question of what is the reason why that this happened, right? And so as we delve deeper into that, sometimes it's not the fact that that person wasn't getting enough sex.
Right.
Maybe you got out respected by somebody, right? Because respect is number one on the list for men. Love is number one on the list for women.
Right.
So if I work to love you and you work to respect me, we can have some congruency. But if it's only, a linear conversation,
Right.
I'm going to have a void. And I already don't know how to communicate that.
So what happens to the man that's not fulfilling the space of what a man should be? And that woman has to take on the fort of being the man and the wife in the relationship. How does she then in turn respect that man or give him the same level of respect?
So let's just look at it in the confines of marriage, right? From a responsibility perspective. We can look down the list of the, for better, for worse, for richer, for poor situation,
yeah.
right? The challenge that sometimes that I run into in having this conversation is that this was something that you knew before you got married. But instead of you walking inside of that space of and correcting that prior, which is one of the reasons why that I even have the game, because it opens up certain topics and conversations with people that they should be having before they make that commitment. Now, if you hit rough patches and you're just like, oh, I got to be the man I got to be the provider for the next 6 months, and you got a problem with that, you shouldn't have gotten married. Because here's the thing, you might hit. We got this whole economy that happens out here. People could be way up here making money and then drop down because they got laid off, right? And now, it takes 6 to 8 months to maybe find another job.
So that's fair, but also we have to look at it in terms of how does that make that man feel?
Oh.
Does it make him feel as though he has to pound his chest and be more masculine in the form of being angry because he's not in the place that he wants to be in? So I think that what happens is because yes, rough patches happen, right? But how is that man actually handling that rough patch and still allowing his woman to be the woman and him have his gender role, which is being a masculine man in the situation?
I would say this goes back to communication.
Yeah.
How does that happen? If we're hitting this patch, let me first identify what I'm feeling and what I'm experiencing.
Right.
What that gap is. I've been in that situation where I had lost my job and she became the provider, and I was maybe 26, 27 at the time, and I had never in my life either not had a job or wasn't in school. Ooh. So at this point in my life, I'm like, wait a minute, I got these kids, I got this wife, and I have no income, and it was a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
And so what I chose to do is find manhood in the wrong place.
Where did you find it?
Outside of my home. And so that would be
like this?
That's and so that would be whether it's hanging out and doing certain things that I shouldn't be doing or whatever. And again, through prayer and through personal development and coaching, whatever, I was able to kind of go back and look and say, why did this happen? Right? And then be able to turn around and share with other people. That's why I think the number one thing, you should not be linking up with anybody. It's not my ding.
Okay, so let's get into this game. So you created a game.
Yes.
Okay, because my fingers have been clammy wanting to get into the game.
Right.
So what was the inspiration behind the game? Is it your books?
So one of the favorite things that I do from a relationship coaching perspective is working with in the pre-marriage coaching space. I love that. It's not like I don't like working with singles or those who are married, but in the pre-marriage space, you get an opportunity of just completely creating, your direction and where you want to go. And so I have an online course called Are We Ready at Course.com.
Okay.
I just took it down for like 2 weeks to kind of reset some stuff on there. And so I've had that out since right when COVID hit, around 21, 22. 21, I dropped that.
Very nice.
And so my business manager / friend that I was telling you about earlier, Adrian E. Bell, here she comes back again. Which she called me Christmas of 2022, and she said, Elam, I think you should take your online pre-marriage course and turn it into a game.
I like that.
And I was like, now let me pause. If I went back 10 years ago and you said something to me like that, I would have found every reason why it would not have worked.
Yeah.
But again, through personal development, through, just having faith and actually utilizing it. Like when I did my book and I was just like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Right.
So when she said it, I took 5 seconds instead of 50 days, to say, okay, I'm going to go.
You didn't procrastinate.
Yeah, I did. And I was just like, okay, go. And, you don't worry about the how when
Right.
God brings something to the table. And so I recognized that and, took the questions that couples that I've worked with that they have struggled with. So these
Yes.
questions represent real questions that people have struggled with.
You guys are ready for these questions?
Years.
Okay.
And then, I have a couple of them. I have about 6 female friends that I'll send them stuff and say, and they'll just slice me to pieces. Elam, that's horrible. That's terrible. You got to have those people in your crew.
You do, because
So-
I got a whole crew of them.
Yeah, so they came up with maybe about 20 or 30 of them of just like popular questions or
I
whatever.
love that.
So it's research and
Okay, well, I'm going to get into this, you guys. So first off, thank you so much for sharing these. We're
now,
getting ready to get into
I don't know
these.
whether I came with gifts, but I.
You came with gifts.
Yeah, I did. I felt very insecure earlier. The previous guest had me feeling insecure. No, I'm not going to point anybody out.
Oh my God. Well, we are going to get into these gifts, okay? Whether he knows it or not, these are mine, okay? So here we go. So the name of your card game is called Are We Ready Yet, you
Yes.
guys? And so this is geared towards married couples, correct?
Well, those couples who are looking to get married.
Oh,
yes.
looking to get married. So
And
more so engaged.
Well, let me say this. It was originally designed for one-on-one. Me and you, we go together. We about to do this thing. All right.
Oh.
And so we ask a question to each other.
Okay.
It's evolved
Okay.
into more of a group setting, which
Yeah.
we experienced earlier when we were here. But
We're going to get into it. Okay, first off, let me just say, I do like the packaging. It is really, first off, I like the colors. Really good qualities. Well, really good quality. I like it.
Thank you.
I like it. It looks store ready. It looks like something I would buy in Barnes and Nobles
Come on.
or some sort of,
Speak it.
Amazon.
Target.
Target. Hello, Target. You need this game, okay? So I do like it, and it's sleek. It's not excessive like some of my board games, and some of my card games are like this long, full of cards, and my friends are just like cards all over the place. But I like this. So I'm gonna get into pulling a couple cards, you guys, and
And
I want to
before
go through these.
Before you did it, one thing that I wanted to do is, as you can
Yes.
see, it sits up. So I didn't want it to be
Yes.
like a spades type card
No,
sitting
I
down.
like this.
So
Oh,
that's
look.
a table topic, so you can sit there and pull them and
Yes.
have, I used to do that with the kids.
Yes.
At dinner time, we had a table topics.
I like
And we would
that.
pull like crazy cards and just ask, who, I don't know, what's your favorite show of such and such. And then you have the discussion. So what this
Right.
does is it opens up the discussion so that you can understand your partner better.
I love that. Okay, so before you sign up for forever is actually on the front of the cards once you take off the top, guys. I do like the fact that it stands up so you could just sit it on the table, sit it wherever. You're right, it's not just laying down. This is a whole infomercial, okay?
Really.
I need my code. Code Carly, okay? All right, so I'm gonna choose a card.
Careful.
Y'all, let me know what y'all think about this. Okay. So, what is the best way to show you that I love you?
And that question was designed because I'd say my average client is in their 40s and 50s.
Okay.
And let's just say they're sitting at 10, 15, 20 years.
Right.
And if you ask them, if you ask the spouse quietly,
Right.
if I asked you, if you were in another room, and let's just say we married,
Right.
and Eric asked you, okay, what's the best way to show you that I love you? And you answer that question, 50% of the time or more, you're gonna get that question wrong. Because you might say what I used to be
Right.
versus what I am today.
Today.
And so what I am today is what I have a problem with you with, but I'm not communicating it. So it lets the person know, and so ongoing that you should. I say at least once a year you should take the love language quiz so that you know where that
Okay.
person is
I like
at that
that.
time, because everybody changes every 10 to 15 years.
Oh, I like that. You answered the question. We're going to do another one, y'all, because I'm liking this. I'm a bored connoisseur. Okay, so this one is, how do you handle your anger? Now, this is important for dating. Okay, so I feel like some of these questions, because I've looked through this, I've thumbed through it, I feel like some of these questions are also interchangeable to dating. Because before I get into any sort of serious relationship with anyone, I want to know, like, how do you handle your anger? And I like the quality of the cards, by the way. And it looks like it can sustain alcohol and fluid and liquid and everything else. And it's a good texture, so it's not easily bendable.
Version 2 will be waterproof.
So
Water
yeah.
resistant.
So how do you handle your anger? Like, how do you handle your anger?
Now I have a tendency to talk.
Ooh, the communication.
And yes, I'm really, because I don't like to keep stuff bottled up inside. I'm a words of affirmation, love language person.
Okay, that's
so for
beautiful.
most of us, when you say certain words, it replays like a record player in our head, like all day long. And I don't want that record to keep playing.
Right.
Because sometimes if you don't show up for a person's dialogue,
Right.
they'll come up with their own monologue and then hold you accountable for it. So I don't want to.
That was deep.
I don't want to. I know.
That was deep.
So that was a sippable.
That was sippable. So sorry, guys.
So I don't
We're
want
gonna
to.
be taking shots in a
I don't
minute.
want my own monologue. I'd rather you tell me
Right.
exactly the way you're thinking about something, and then I can allow get the real answer versus coming up with my own.
Okay, so the next one is, how do you handle yourself when you are sad? Does somebody from the audience want to answer this? Are you guys good? Y'all still want to be shy tonight? No? Hollis? Okay.
When we're sad, right?
Yes. So shout out to Hollis in the back. So how do you handle yourself when you are sad?
So I think that when I'm sad, I would typically, I think as a lot of men do, I tend to shut down and want to spend time by myself when I'm sad.
Okay.
Very common.
And that's very interesting. So being that he wants to, the way that he handles it is shutting down and kind of, decompressing alone. What type of advice would you give a person in that space?
Well, that goes back to the rage, reason, or run that I was speaking of earlier, right? When a man meets an emotional space,
Yeah.
they're gonna rage, reason, or run. That's a run, right? I'm not gonna say anything, and Blue's Clues only works on Nickelodeon. It does not work inside of a
Real life.
relationship.
Right.
So, although I do understand, because that was me, so and that's my man. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. No, this is really
peoples.
good.
But that's what most men do, and so
Okay.
that's the reason why that things will begin to perpetuate themselves and mount up to whereas he might be quiet, let's just say 3, 4, 5 days.
Yeah.
By the third or fourth day, he misses her, she misses him. They end up just getting together, having sex, and now everything's fine. Issue has not been resolved.
No, I'm an
2 weeks
elephant.
from now,
I'm
it's
gonna
gonna pop
address
back
the
up.
elephant in the room person.
But most people don't address the elephant. They're so happy to get back in good graces until they're not. So that's how things begin to stack
Yeah.
up
I like that
instead of
too,
dealing
though.
with conflict.
I like to be able to so even after you do get together, and have sex and enjoy each other and gifts and all that, okay, this is all wonderful, but let's really talk about what happened.
Exactly.
Because now, and that actually can work to your advantage.
Right.
Because now you're in a different space.
Right.
You're not angry, you're not upset, everybody's happy, it's on neutral playing ground. So now we can have a
fertile.
conversation
Yes.
and say, okay, babe, what you did yesterday really made me upset and it made me want to stroke you out. Okay. But I realize that I love you and I care about you and I really think that we should talk about this. And I'm coming to you with my hands open and I want to be gentle and I want you to be vulnerable and tell me how you felt and why the fuck did you make me feel that way?
No, but let me share with you for those that listen to it. Okay, you can put your hand back on my knee.
Okay.
Okay. No. When it was open, right?
Oh, because
That-
you see that? The
When
body
you
language?
did that body language, it calmed me. Right, so that's nonverbal communication that existed, and then you're being humble. You had the
Yes.
apology inside of it. I
Yes.
want this. So just a key to women. You
Yes.
have the power
And it's not just that other
You have
key.
the power to calm a man with
Yes.
hand on knee. Hand on knee, calm. And we ain't even beef. And I was just like, you know, so, but I
Yeah.
also want to recognize that
Right.
because the tone, all of
Right.
that of just, and that all goes into the portions of communication.
And you know what? He recognized the tone. The tone plays a huge difference. You know, people don't realize that.
Right.
This is fun, guys. Are y'all having a good time? Okay. So more than one person? Like, for one person.
They're sending texts to baby, I'm sorry.
We say
Let me
the
put my hand on your knee.
relationship tonight. Right. Okay, so can you treat me like I'm your spouse for 1 week? What does that mean?
And so that's one of the questions in there that just adds a little fun to the
Yeah.
game of, you know, just for the next week, treat me as if I'm your spouse.
Okay.
You know, and so I can just kind of give me a little trailer, right?
Okay, this, and again, guys, so when he's saying that, when the card means they're not married yet.
Yeah, they're not married.
So it's almost like treat me like I'm your wife or your husband, but essentially your spouse.
Yeah, for a week.
Yes.
So I mean,
I would like that.
everything that comes with it.
Are y'all ready? Look at the guys, all their
You know,
eyebrows are like.
sometimes people say they'll save certain things until they get married. Let it go for a week.
You know, have you ever heard of the 7-day love challenge?
I've heard of the 40-day, haven't heard of the 7-day.
Okay, so I've heard of the 7-day love challenge.
interesting.
And so what you do, it's probably the same exact thing. Essentially what you do is you are in a full-blown relationship with someone that you are interested in
Okay.
for 7 days.
Okay.
And it is essentially you are in a full-blown relationship.
Okay.
You're seeing each other every single day. You're going through life as if you are together. And by that 7th day, you decide on if this is going to continue or if we're just going to walk away because it just didn't really work.
Okay.
I personally would agree to be in a relationship with somebody for 7 days to see if this is something I can do or not.
All access?
Well, not all the access.
No, then that's not 7 days of, no, that's not true.
Okay, so that's fair. All access, I'll say all access, but of course I'm very selective. So if I'm selecting a person that I'm interested in being in a relationship with, then yes, 7 days, I'm okay with that.
Right.
I think we should promote that. I think people should try that, not with everybody.
I'm going to throw out something else. Something else to try.
Throw it out,
That's
friend.
really crazy. Pre-marriage counseling. Okay, that's
I would do
actually
that.
something crazy
Would you guys do that?
like that, you know? So
I would do that.
goes
even-
beyond 7 days, but
Well, yeah, I do that. Oh, I got another one. What is your philosophy on blended families? Now, that's a question, obviously, that is a little more than just a quick little pass the mic. But this is a really good card game, you guys. This is a really great card game. This is something that can either, in my opinion, either cultivate a relationship or make them say, maybe we should wait a little longer and get to know each other.
yes.
I don't think it should break anybody up because if you're that serious about marriage, a card game should not break you up, but it should make you dig a little deeper into understanding who the person is that you want to be with.
Absolutely. I'm
You know
not
what
here
I
to
mean?
break people up, but
I don't think you are. You don't come across. But should I pull one more, you guys? Just you guys just want to be quiet the whole time. Okay, I got you. I'm gonna pull one more. All right, you ready? Oh, this is funny. So, would you tell me if you no longer enjoyed sex with me? And this is Dan.
Absolutely not.
You would sit there and take it?
Absolutely.
You would take bad intimacy from your person.
Yeah.
my man,
Why?
my man.
No.
I would absolutely tell them.
Yeah, absolutely.
They need to know that immediately
Come
because
on.
you need to make some corrections to that.
Okay, I want to hear more about that, but I gotta hear why
Would you
would
say
you
no?
stay and say no? And would you cheat?
Yes.
No.
Lies.
Why wouldn't I? Well, I think that's just me. I think
Yeah.
it's a
Gonna cheat.
when you're in. I should say it depends
Depends on what the state
on
or
if the person can
Gonna
take,
cheat.
a conversation, because that's very personal. And a lot of people, are not. It's hard to hear. Would I want to hear if I'm like bad at sex? Probably not.
would you try
Well,
it?
why,
He's putting her first.
So you're putting her first.
Yeah.
I like that. So are you doing everything?
That's not okay.
Well, let's dig into the both sides, okay, Mr. Expert, because I'm liking this. So we want to keep it fair, guys. Okay, this is a fair show. All right, so would you continue to perform as usual, or would it be something you're just like watching paint dry?
No, okay, so the question is now, would you accept it? And just like, would you tell them? No. I would do, I think I would coach them up. I would try to figure out how to make it better, how to spice things up, I guess is a term that people.
For the spice up? And they don't realize that they're not.
And then they're not going to be open to hearing it, I'll tell you that for free.
They're definitely not. So because they're not going to think anything's wrong. They're going to say, this is what I've always done. You like it this way. Have you been cheating? Why do you want me to do it this way now?
Correct. And so what would I do is I would try to figure out ways to, get them, to where I need them to get to.
Would you ever consider having to cheat in order to get what you need sexually out of your relationship?
And stay in it.
And stay in that relationship?
I don't know because
No, let him.
What did he say?
The answer is yes.
He said the answer is yes? No, because, no, I'm thinking cerebrally because that doesn't solve the problem. Just cheating does not solve the problem that we're in, which is, it's okay, I cheat, now I get with this person. Who's to say I don't get into the exact same position that we're in now, where the sex is bad.
Yeah.
And so what I tried not to do is replicate a problem that I'm currently in. So how do I figure out how to solve it on a systemic level so I don't end up here again?
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
I like the thought process behind it. So you would not, what if your person said, I just can't bear with all the stuff that you enjoy sexually? You're welcome to go do what you need to do to satisfy yourself as long as you don't leave me and our family. Is that something that you would explore?
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out
Sir
innovative
in the
ways
back, answer the question.
to ask if I would cheat. I would. You don't have to go. I don't have to have a situation to do it. I would do it.
Yelled it out.
But let me share this. Let me share this. But one of the things that he's saying is that, he would try to help guide her and things of that nature. And
I can appreciate
let
that.
me just say this. Socially and thus far as we've been here, that's my guy. He good peoples.
Yes.
But I would absolutely, completely disagree with his answer.
Okay, what would you do?
Because to not directly share with the person that you're doing forever with about your expectations, and what you need, we're not addressed. The number one person that does not show up inside of most relationships is ourselves. And so what we do is we attach ourselves, as it would seem like, to her and what she would want, and you're totally missing something
You're
over
putting
here.
yourself in the backseat.
And so I understand sacrifice and things of that
Yeah.
nature, but at the end of the day, sex is important. Let's be very clear about that.
Yeah.
Okay, and if that person is if that person's a physical touch person, that you're asking that person to suppress the way that they receive love.
Well, what if they're telling you it's okay? I understand this is what you want because I'm not asking you to suppress with me. Or in general, I'm asking you to suppress it with me. Go do what you need to do to fulfill what you need, because let's just be very honest. There are a lot of relationships like that.
Yes, the polyamorous life, if that's what that culture
Or
that they want
one-sided
to.
polyamorous. Some
Yeah, I
people
mean,
don't
well, that would be, well, I don't know all the different, so many words, but I mean, the polyamorous relationship, and if that's what those people choose to do, so
Yes.
be it. I would not want that.
Yeah, that's not a part of
I
my
would not
life.
want that.
Yeah.
I would like to navigate and walk through this, and actually, it's something that you can actually have fun with.
Right.
If you just open up that communication. I hate to keep bringing back up this word. Let's go to counseling.
Yeah.
Let's talk to somebody else. We don't have all the
You
answers.
do
We're
need
not
to talk to
designed to
somebody
have
else.
that.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to go see a sex therapist. Who knows?
Yeah.
There might be something inside that person that you can unlock together and have an amazing level of physical intimacy.
I'm glad you said that, because I've experienced, and not personally, but just on social media, different, podcasts, et cetera, where people have said, men have said, I married this woman, I've been with her for a very long time. I don't want her doing those nasty, obscene things to me and those fetish type things to me that I now have grown to like and love because I don't see my wife or my person in that space. Okay. So how does a person combat that, where they've grown these fetishes and they just can't see their wives doing those obscene things?
Well, I guess being in this space, the number one question I get asked all the time is, what do men want, right? Okay. And then, or sometimes I get asked, what do women want?
Are we talking about sexually?
Yeah, sexually. Sexually or just overall in a relationship period.
Sexually, look at what their porn is.
But just watch where I'm going with it. I say the answer to that question is, what does that person that you're with want? That's what men want, what that man wants. Right. The man that you're with, the woman that you're with, that's what that person wants. And then once you know what that is, you have an opportunity of signing up for or not. Right? And so let's fast forward. We're in a relationship now. And now I have evolved into this
they on Instagram seeing all
very
the
very I don't want to say promiscuous, but a person that might have fetishes, whatever the case would be.
Sexually curious.
Again, you now have the communication instead of just suppressing it, right? You have the conversation, okay, what do you want? Maybe there's a common ground that we can meet here. Maybe you don't want to do S&M, but you might do a little spank here and there. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just being funny, but at the end of the day,
it gets weird for that person. If you've been with somebody for 15, 20 years, and you guys are used to, you're nasty, we getting ready to go into 18 and over, okay?
Right.
This person is into, dressing up. They want you to do things that you've never done. Mm-hmm. They are probably more so afraid of exploring that with you because they don't want to be judged.
Right.
So it's almost like communication go wrong.
Right. Okay.
Right? So hey, I want you to dress up and I want you to wear crotchless panties. I want you to call me daddy. She's going to be like, what the fuck have you been into?
Right. Carly, I got a question. Is this something that is, but is this something that has been introduced before you got married or during the marriage later on during the marriage?
So let's say during the marriage.
Let's go to the more difficult one.
I feel like that means you've experienced that with somebody else, and now the person that you're with, they don't know that you like that now.
Well, that's true.
Your ass ain't you done cheated. You know what I'm saying?
You have social media that shows you everything. We could be in Japan right now. So social media will show you so much. Like men that were more so, I like a woman that has a model-esque, shape, now like ass and titties and a lot of it. Because that's what social media is feeding him. That's what's on his algorithm.
We don't like BBLs. I just want to say that.
He may like BBLs. And his wife does not have a BBL. And he's like,
an advertisement that we don't really like BBLs. I want to make sure I get this out.
And so his mindset has changed. His fetishes are different. His sexual tendencies are different. He's having sex with his wife or his woman, and he's just like, this just doesn't do it for me because he has sexually advanced more than what the situation he's in. How does a man how does a woman combat that? It doesn't matter what she puts on. He's just not into what she's got.
This is probably the reason why that I do have this game, is because there's certain questions that you're supposed to start off asking and knowing about. That's why it's 100 questions in different areas. But then also with the understanding of that, just like I said earlier with the love languages, you're going to change every 10 to 15 years.
Right.
People have to really understand, and I think we were talking about it earlier, that everybody doesn't qualify to be married. Just because you're cute and you have a good job,
they do not qualify.
Or you got some money or whatever, that doesn't make you qualify. If you're a nice person, just because you're a nice person, it doesn't make you my person, right? And so, just like wealth, everybody doesn't qualify for wealth, right? So everybody doesn't qualify for marriage, but if you should choose, kind of like it is a Mission Impossible.
Right.
If you should choose this, or however they say it on there, understand that there is the now that you have to understand. And there's also the tomorrow.
Right.
And, the devil's here to kill, steal, and destroy. And so they're going to get into your mind, and whether it's through social media or whatever, and just kind of infiltrate certain things. And then, again, you have to sit back and say, what do I really need? Is my desire or my preference, like I use the 80-20 rule.
Right.
Yeah, you might want them to dress up, but are you really going to leave them because they don't dress up? You know,
I
so
mean,
you know,
sex is
maybe if that's on
important
your
in a
80%,
relationship.
so be it, right? So
Right.
again, you have to understand who you're with,
Right.
And you, excuse me, you have to understand yourself and what you need,
Right.
and then you have to make sure that you're with somebody who's willing to compliment that. And if they're
Right.
not, let's go do some research on it
Right. Together.
You can actually have fun and grow inside these spaces. It might start off, as he said earlier, uncomfortable.
Right.
Well, your comfort zone is your broke zone, right? So if you want to stay in that comfort
Don't
area,
be broke.
you know what I'm saying? Well, and I'm saying not broke in the sense of money. I'm just saying like broke mentally
yeah.
of your sexually, whatever your broke sexual zone, if
Right.
you will, right? So there might be some explorations that you have
Yeah.
there. And so it grows actually beyond
Yeah.
sex. I know we were kind of talking about in that space, but
Right.
maybe I'm the person that doesn't like to invest. And
Right.
you want to invest.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, we're not going to take our savings and do that.
Right.
Somebody else might look like, man, you can flip your money and da-da-da. No, I just want to sit on my savings.
Right.
There are men like that.
I think
There are
that
women like
it
that.
comes down to what you said, and I think it was something very important. It's really communication.
That's what it is.
I think it's also knowing who it is that you're interested into. We talked about this yesterday, intention. I think it's very important that you're intentional, and Eric and I, we talk about this often. Intentional, who you're intentional with.
Right.
Like, date intentionally,
And everybody don't
marry
qualify for you.
intentionally, right? And everybody does not qualify. So, are we ready yet? Okay, can you please let everybody know where they can find this game expeditiously?
You can actually, well, first of all, you can
There you
follow
go.
me because it's actually, if you go to my Instagram, you can
Love it.
You can go to Elam B King on all social platforms, and if you send me a DM, you're gonna get an automatic response to the website, the
Yes.
arewereadyyetgame.com. That's
Okay.
arewereadyyetgame.com.
Yes.
You can also go to elambking.com that has all of my books and some of my other products on there as well,
Yes.
as well as the Are We Ready Yet game.
I love it.
And so, or you can just, well, no, I'm not gonna go there. So you can, you can just.
Now we're interested. We're gonna talk about this off camera, but yes.
Call me. No,
right,
I'm
and this is mine. So thanks, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Did you let them know where they can find you?
Yes, on all platforms at Elam B King, on every platform that's out there, and also we have my upcoming event that's coming on February 17th here in Atlanta, Georgia. So
Yes.
you can go to my Instagram and you can click on the link in the bio. I don't know whether we have too many more seats, but there's just one or two that might be left, and that's going to be a great night. Free food and drinks.
Lots of free food and drinks. I'll be there. It'll be amazing.
I wasn't supposed to say that out loud.
Thank you so much for watching, guys. We appreciate you, and we will see y'all next week. Bye.